Hi, I'm Oliver Cox, founder and CEO of HSM. I'm going to show you our application, Coeus. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this work. Knowledge professionals, and particularly marketers, spend 20% or more of their workday looking for information. Much of this time is spent because the information they're working with is not connected. That a piece of information that has some relationship in their mind or in the real world doesn't have that relationship reflected in their software through some kind of connection. People typically get frustrated, they lose their state of flow, they waste time, they bother their colleagues, and worst of all, they duplicate work and duplicate documents. When information is connected, you can find what you want immediately, or nearly immediately. You just follow the link. Typically, 70% of a team's cost is spent on its people. Now imagine if you could take that team that's currently spending 20% of its time looking for information and turn that into 15%. That would save you 3.5% of your entire budget for that team. How do we do this? We need a software platform, a software environment where the connections, the relationships between pieces of information are clear, easy to work with, and easy to visualize. And I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. I'm going to show you how a company could use Coeus to manage its relationship with its marketing agency. Many marketing agency relationships are centered on a scope of work. So let's open that up now. And as you can see here, I have the text on screen. And as I select, my selection is indicated with these brackets. And on the left, you can see the type, the text, the ID, and the parent of the thing that I have selected is shown. And watch as I click around on the right sidebar here, I can select individual sentences, I can select paragraphs, and I can select the set, or the chunk of material that I have on screen altogether. On the left here, I have a list of my links, and if I click the eye here, they're shown. I have 3 links, and here are their endpoints. If I select one of the endpoints, the selection is shown in the link. I can then select the other endpoint, which is a paragraph. It's paragraph 13 in some other document. It has 2 links. And it's the set that it's part of is our minutes document. I can open that up, and here you can see the links are visibly connected. I can look at my scope of work, and I can see how the agency is realizing this scope of work, and I can make judgments about performance and how things are going. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, the text here, new messaging, has 2 links going to it. One back to the scope of work, and another to this messaging document. And now we can see here's the thing that the agency created, here is the discussion of that piece of information, all the way we can trace all the way back to our scope of work. And now, let's open up one of the articles that our agency has created. We can select this heading here, we can see that it links to this article called Links. We can open that up, and here is the article. Now there's something special here, which is this heading here, Articles, links to the article, but also we have a precise link from an edit request in our minutes to the particular piece of the article that needs to be edited. And you can quickly go to the specific piece of the article that you need to change. Now note that, of course, you can do this, say, with a comment these days, but this is so much more integrated and so much faster. So far in Coeus, I've shown you how we can create links between material. Now I want to show you how we can reuse material so it can be in 2 places at once. Let me show you how. To do this, let's pull up our messaging document again, and we'll keep our article on links up here. Now you can see these dotted boxes here that you might have seen earlier, these are reuses. So this paragraph here, we see a world in which humanity, is the same paragraph as in our mission statement. And you can see that the IDs of these 2 paragraphs are exactly the same. This is interesting because messaging must be unified. But when brands copy and paste their messaging, they're guaranteeing that it will go out of date. When it's updated, those updates won't be pushed to all the places where it exists, and things will get out of whack. Here, when I update my mission, when I update my messaging and my vision, wherever that is reused, those updates will be reflected. There's another use case for reuse, which is quotations. I want to quote an article that Ted Nelson wrote in our links article here. So let's open up the Nelson piece, and we want to go into reuse mode. I hit this button here and select what I want to reuse, which is this paragraph here we greatly need, And as you can see, it now shows me all places where I can drop it, this paragraph. I click over here where I want it to go, and now it's reused. This paragraph here in Nelson is used again in my links article. So instead of having to Google this quote and try and find it, I can look at how the quotation fits into my article and how it fits into the original article also. Now, you might not want these lines over your document all the time. That's fine. You can just turn off the connections on the left here. When you do so, you'll see what things normally look like, which is when there's no indication of how things relate to each other and how things are connected, which I think is rather a daunting picture. Now let's open up our minutes document again. And I want to direct your attention down here to the word flow. This is interesting because it actually links to another link. And if we open that link up, Coeus knows to open both of the endpoints of the link to show them to us together. And you can see that this word here is linked to the link between these two documents. One of the really tedious things about academic citations is that they typically link to a paper and at best to a page reference within that paper. Let's actually link from a sentence to a sentence here, so we can know precisely what we're talking about. I'll select sentence 7 of paragraph 1 on the left here, and then sentence 5 of paragraph 3 on the right. We'll call this link cite, hit the link, and here's our connection. So we could use this in place of a citation to say, in this academic paper, I'm talking about what they're talking about in this precise location, which could be a sentence, paragraph, word, or something else. Let's open up our minutes again, and I want to show you one last thing. And here you can see, again, we've linked to a link here between these two documents. Comparison that our agency has done between how Apple and Google talk about their respective word processing apps. Moreover, once we have these two documents on page, you can see that there are many other links between them. And what our agency has done here is connected the things that are essentially equivalent between these documents. Use templates in our word processing, we stay in sync and collaborate between teams, and there's also material that's not linked, which is different. Google talks a lot about AI, whereas Apple's more keen to talk about the visuals. So you can use this view to compare and contrast how organizations talk about a particular thing and get an immediate, visual, intuitive understanding of how pieces of information relate to each other. And that is Coeus. Coeus is our way of helping people to understand how their information is connected, and to stop wasting hours and hours of their time trying to rebuild those connections or try and find the information in the first place. If you'd like to learn more or have questions, reach out to me at oliver@hyperstructure.media. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and you'll certainly be hearing a lot more from me. Take care.